Hey y'all, this is Brandon,
And I'm John.
and we're the Hutcheson Brothers,
We're talking Dallas Cowboy football.
right here on the Final Score.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to The Final Score with Matthew and
Stevie Fly. What's up, guys? The Final Score is back again tonight. It's getting close to football season, guys. Basketball just ended. Baseball is in full swing. Hockey just ended, which, I watch hockey during Stanley Cup time, but, not really that big of a thing. But now it's into my favorite time of the year. We're getting ready for football. And the Final Score, we've been on a little hiatus here lately, mainly because I don't talk about NBA that much. NBA has gone to the way out there. Since they don't play defense, all they do is shoot threes. I can't watch it anymore. So football season's coming around. Camps getting ready to open up. And I thought, what better time to do a top 10 list? We haven't done one in a while. And, not one of my favorite teams that we're doing tonight, but I said I was going to do each team. And I got these two guys. They were a guest a while back on the fly. It's the country music artists, the Hutcheson Brothers. They're Dallas Cowboy fans. Don't hold it against them, but they're Dallas Cowboy fans. You see the star in the back. But we decided we were going to bring them on, and we're going to give our top 10 list. I'm going to actually do my top 10 list too, guys. So, as much as let me tell you about, I'm a whole lot older than these guys. I'm about a person old enough to drive older than either one of these guys. So back when I was growing up, the big rivalry and a couple of Super Bowls when I was a kid was Cowboys Steelers. Which who won those two Super Bowls?
Gotta give
I hear crickets.
Hey.
Yeah, y'all got us back in Super Bowl 30, but y'all
That's
paid
right.
Neil O'Donnell off with some kind. I think he's got oil rigs out there in Texas somewhere that Jerry Jones bought him. But that was the big rivalry right there. So I had an intense dislike for the Dallas Cowboys back then, and plus the rest of my family were Washington Redskins fans. So yeah, I had a real dislike for the Cowboys back then. Now, as time's grown on, I have not that has kind of leveled off a little bit with the Patriots and the Ravens out there. I will pull for the Cowboys against those two teams and maybe a few others. But with us tonight, like I said, the Hutcheson Brothers. We're gonna bring them in right now. How you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good, sir. How are you doing?
Going through this heat wave, guys. Good golly day. It was 97 today. I think it said it felt like 110. And we've got at least 2 more days of that. So I don't know what you guys got coming up, but I know it can't be good in the South. I know we're all in the South. I know it can't be good for you guys either.
Man, there with that humidity, it's killer out there.
Gosh, yeah. So I would hate to think I had to work outside all day. My hat's off, and my prayers are with all the guys that do work outside all day. So we had you guys on before. Talking about your music career. Now we got you back on. What's been going on and what's going on with you guys as far as the music goes before we get into the Cowboys? As far as music goes, what's going on with you guys right now?
Well, so far for this year, we went and cut a brand new song, a new single, and it'll be coming out July 24th called "Damn Dallas." And
oh wow!
So it's perfect time to get on the show.
Perfect time to get you on the show.
Yeah, perfect time to be on the show and talk Cowboys. So I'm sure we'll be saying that across, over the season. But that'll be coming out July 24th. And man, we've just been touring and Oklahoma, Texas.
Yeah, you guys.
Goodness gracious. North Carolina, we got some dates in Charlotte, so yeah, just trying to stay busy.
Yeah, I'm looking at your Facebook page now with everywhere y'all been to over the past week or so. Good Lord, y'all been a little bit everywhere. So I'm taking that song is probably going to be the anthem for Cowboy fans come December and January, like it always is every year. You guys, and you guys got one of my headaches. Y'all took a headache off of me. You get George Pickens.
Oh yeah.
So you know what? He'll probably come out there and just set the world on fire. He'll be the best wide receiver in the NFL has ever seen now. But yeah, we got hosed on that deal too. I believe that with what we got for sending him to y'all. But evidently, you know, as talented as he is, gosh knows, dude, if he could just keep his head on straight. We've had that, you know, we've had that problem with a lot of receivers here lately. Antonio Brown's done fled the country because he's wanted for attempted murder in Miami.
Oh my gosh.
So he was putting up posts yesterday on social media saying he was in Iran. I mean, this guy's got CTE all over him.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you guys have got y'all loaded with offensive talent this year. Running game might be a little suspect, but maybe if you guys can get that, and maybe if Dak can keep his head on right, stay healthy, maybe this is a year for the Cowboys. What you guys think?
Man, I'd like to think so. But personally, myself, I would just like to see a little bit deeper run in the playoffs in my lifetime. So I pretty much all I get to hear are the the past stories and stuff of all these glory days, and I just like to see at least one Super Bowl.
Yeah, you'd like to live some of them glory days, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah.
Hey, at least I can vaguely remember those Super Bowls in the 90s. So at least I can remember those.
That was a dynasty in the 90s for sure. And the biggest mistake in the world Jerry Jones ever made was letting Jimmy Johnson go, because I believe, and as much as I hate to say it, I believe you guys could have won about four, at least four, maybe five Super Bowls in that decade if you'd kept him there and how he drafts. Because I mean, that guy pulled off, with the Herschel Walker trade when he first got there.
Oh yeah,
he got so much talent, so many key components to that Super Bowl team. I mean, one of these guys, what was his name? Emmitt Smith, I think. He had a little bit to say about it. But, he did so many good things, and he could wheel and deal. And Jerry Jones, I'll say this, and you guys may not agree with me, but I think you will. The biggest problem you guys have right now is Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones.
100% agree with that. I mean, don't get me wrong, okay, building a brand is very important, but if that brand doesn't win and win consistently, then why have the brand?
Well, Jerry Jones is all about this.
Yep, correct.
He's a businessman. If you're making him money, he's satisfied. I won't say he's completely satisfied, but he's happy with that money.
Yeah.
And if he would stay out of the personnel department and just write checks, sign the checks, get a guy in there that can be a GM, or get a guy coaching there that can be a GM. I think y'all would be a whole lot better off. I don't think you guys would have been fall apart. Y'all would have fell apart like y'all have the last 2 or 3 years. It come down the stretch. I mean, the playoff game against Green Bay, I never saw that coming.
Man.
Never saw that coming. Because when I looked at my phone. I hadn't got home yet. I looked at my phone and I saw the score. I was like, well, it hadn't got that bad yet. I said, well, they'll come back. I mean, and then I got home and saw how they play. I was like, oh my gosh, what? But it's the story of the Cowboys here lately, and somebody has got to correct that story for Cowboy fans. I mean, there's got to be a part where you have to get over the hump. Do I think Dak is the answer? This may hurt y'all's feelings, but no, I don't think Dak is the answer. I think they paid way too much money for no more than he's done. But
yeah,
I'm taking Dak is not going to be in y'all's top 10 list.
He's not. I don't know about John's, but he's not.
No. I can go ahead and tell you he's not in mine.
So first of all, let's talk a little bit about how did you guys become Dallas Cowboy fans? What made you guys Dallas Cowboy fans?
Well, I will kickstart that one off. If you were going to follow football in our household growing up, you're going to follow the Dallas Cowboys. Our dad has been a diehard Cowboys fans. I believe he said the first NFL game he ever got to watch on TV was Super Bowl 12, and that was Dallas and Denver, down at in New Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah.
And from that day forward, he's been a Cowboys fan. Of course, hearing his stories about Tom Landry and Roger and Drew Pearson and Randy White and folks like that. So we've been a Cowboys family from day one. As soon as we arrived on this earth, if we grew up with something else, we'd probably be disowned. To be honest with you,
I think the first baby picture was like me in a Cowboys jersey. So it was like a little tiny Cowboy jersey. So I really didn't have a choice, but I really wouldn't want a choice. So
right.
Well, see, like I told you guys, there was my family was basically all Washington fans, and somehow me and my cousin, he's like 2 weeks older than me, and he lived right beside us, and somehow we both decided we were going to be Steeler fans, and everybody looked at us like, what? How in the world are y'all Steeler fans? But everybody else is Washington fans. But we stuck with them all through the years. And anyway, Cowboys, like I said, there was an intense dislike for me back then, but it's kind of wavered off here lately. All right, so we are going to get right to these lists. You guys got your list ready. We're going to start off. Whoever wants to start off first, we'll let the oldest go first. That'll be all right. So go ahead. Let's hear your number 10.
All right, my number 10, 9 seasons with the Cowboys, drafted in 1988, but he didn't start playing until 92 because he served in the Air Force. Defensive lineman Chad Hennings.
Oh, wow. You going deep on this. That's good. That's how I'm going to be deep. Some of these are going to be for my era. They're going to be like, oh, that's obvious, but some of them will be deep for me. But that's a good one there. Chad Hennings, man, he was a monster when he finally got to the Cowboys. Yeah, he was a monster. And another guy that like Roger Staubach, he armed forces. He had to go do his commitment and then come and play for the Cowboys. So yeah, okay, all right. Let's hear the next one, number 10.
Number 10, beware of D-Ware, DeMarcus Ware. 9 seasons with Dallas. He's Dallas all-time sack leader, 7-time Pro Bowl, 4-time first-team All-Pro, and he's in the Hall of Fame. So, man, just watching him, like, it was something else. And then, like, I remember he had, like, the cool little half sleeves or whatever, and back then I was, like, in middle school, and I was trying to be just like him, and it was crazy. I had the little whole DeMarcus Ware sleeve and all that.
Now, did both of you guys play football in high school?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What positions did you guys play?
Let's see. I played center and then kind of like defensive tackle, defensive end, but mostly on the offensive side of the ball.
I played outside linebacker and tackle and center.
See, I played center. And then they put me on the. I was too slow to be a back, and and honestly I was too small to be an offensive lineman. But I played center, and I learned technique, and I held my own. I look, there was on defense. You know, we had 13 guys on our team my senior year, so you had to go both ways. You had to play Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
We went to a team my junior year. We went and played a team in Virginia that had a guy. He started all 4 years at Virginia Tech on the offensive line. And here I am. He's like 6'3", 260 pounds. Here I am like 5'6", 5'7", 145 pounds soaking wet. And I'm looking up at him like, oh my God. So I shot the gap the first 2 plays, and I got in the backfield. And I'm sitting there like, okay. Yeah. I don't know you guys seen that movie Rudy?
Yes.
You remember in the practice when that offensive lineman is just taking it easy on him, just brushing him off, and then Rudy gets in his face. You remember what happened to him next when he got planted in the ground? Yeah, that field in Virginia still has my imprint on that field where he planted me. And he told me after the game, he was like, "Yeah, you took advantage of me the first 2 plays." He said, "But he said I had to deal with you." I said, "Yeah, dude, I was taking what I could get." So, but
Man.
nothing like football. Nothing like playing football. That was my favorite.
Yeah.
I coach. I've been a coach for 16 years now. So yeah, it's I played all 3 sports, the major sports, but nothing like football. So getting to my number 10. And this guy I absolutely despised back in the day. But man, could he play some football. And how the Cowboys got him is beyond me. Tony Dorsett, Hall of Fame running back. They get him in the 77 draft. They just won a Super Bowl, I believe, or they were in the Super Bowl. And here they are getting somehow whoever managed this deal with Seattle, it worked out pretty good for them because they end up getting Tony Dorsett. And you tell me, and I know guys out there, I know you guys are too young to remember any of these guys. A guy named Steve August, Tom Lynch, Terry Beeson, and Glenn Corano. These guys are not in the Hall of Fame, by the way. You know what I mean? They're nowhere near Hall of Fame guys. And they get Tony Dorsett. So it worked out pretty good for him. I mean, man, this guy could run. And coming off a national championship when he was at Pittsburgh, Rookie of the Year. And, man, he just fit right in with the Cowboys. Helped them win that Super Bowl against Denver you were talking about, and many games. You know, one of the things I talk about on here sometimes is how it's weird seeing different players in different uniforms. You know, I was going to ask you, how weird was it for you when DeMarcus Ware left for Denver?
Oh, man.
I mean, and then I think he won a Super Bowl in Denver, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. So
And Von Miller and
Tony Dorsett leaves Dallas with a contract squabble and goes to Denver. Just didn't look right. And I think he played maybe a year or 2, but yeah, Tony Dorsett, a legend, probably could have been higher on my list, but that's my number 10.
Now, what didn't Dorsett? I know he was kind of in that contract squabble or whatever, but didn't Dallas already have Herschel on the?
Herschel was there. Herschel was there because they actually, I think it was 1 year. They moved Herschel to fullback.
Yes.
And had Tony at tailback. I mean, you imagine that backfield. How in the world they didn't do something there? But I think after that year, they said, well, you know, Dorsett's been around a while. Herschel's younger. We need, we're not going to pay you what you want for this. We don't think we need you. So he gets traded for a 5th round draft pick to Denver. So, which, it worked out. He didn't really do much at Denver. I think he may have had a few games that he played okay, but he wasn't there long. So worked out pretty good for you guys. And, you guys use Herschel as trade bait later on.
That's right.
Like we said before, you guys got 3 Super Bowls out of that deal there. All right, so number 9. I can't wait to hear this.
Number 9. This fella played 12 seasons in Dallas from 92 to 2004. He's the Cowboys' all-time tackles leader with 1,350. 11 sacks, 23 interceptions, 3 Super Bowls, 5 Pro Bowls, and in the Cowboys' Ring of Honor. Strong safety, Darren Woodson.
Okay, yeah. Darren Woodson.
Yeah,
Darren was, gosh, that defense, when that defense really started coming along, he was one of the leaders of that defense. You had guys like Charles Haley coming in. And I was looking at this list, and you guys realize how many guys switched back and forth from Dallas to San Francisco or
Right.
to Dallas. I mean, Dion did it. Ken North Jr. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of
center. I can't remember if he went to San Francisco or not, but
But there was a lot of them. As big as that rivalry was, you would think,
Man, yeah, that's crazy.
There, you would think, no, I don't want to go play for the Cowboys if I was 49ers or vice versa. But they sure didn't have a problem with it. So
That's right.
yeah. All right. So number 9 for you.
Mr. All-Time leading rusher in the NFL, Emmitt Smith.
Wow, at number 9. I was wrong about number 1 then. I mean, and speaking of weird jerseys, how about with Emmitt?
That Cardinals. Oh, good Lord.
And did he get the record? Well, he got the record when he was in Dallas, though, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
His last year in Dallas against Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say something happened when he was in Arizona. Maybe I'm not remembering what he broke some kind of record in Arizona, but it wasn't the Russian record. All right, so my number 9 is probably another guy. I don't know if you guys will remember this guy or not, but his name is kind of funky. I was always the first time I heard his name as a kid, I was like, "What the heck kind of name is that?" But big part of the defensive backfield in the 80s, and another guy that I'll talk about that switched teams to a rival, and gets a Super Bowl out of that again. But he's 14 seasons with the Cowboys, 4-time Pro Bowl. Ends up winning a Super Bowl with the New York Giants in 1990. I'm talking about Everson Walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, he 4-time Pro Bowl. Like I said, he led the league in interceptions 3 years, 3-time first team All-Pro. But yeah, Everson Walls, and that guy used to aggravate me. You know, I mean, when we would watch the Redskins play the Cowboys on Sunday afternoon, and he would make an interception, and my dad would just, God, my dad back in the day when he was really into it, boy, you would thought. As a kid, I thought the world was going to end if the Redskins lost to the Cowboys the next day. But, yeah, Everson Walls, like I said, goes to the Giants for 3 years, spends 3 years with the Giants and gets that Super Bowl in 1990. That's a case of, like a lot of Cowboys go to another team and win a Super Bowl when they can't win in Dallas. We just talked about DeMarcus Ware, now Everson Walls. But, yeah, just
what's in the division.
Right,
man.
Yeah, that was big there because I couldn't believe that as a kid. We talked about the trading back and forth between the 49ers and the Cowboys, but in the division, you hardly ever saw that. And I'm not sure if Dallas just thought, well, he's near the end of his career, and I think it had a lot to do with Jimmy Johnson. Yeah. Okay. Here's the story here. I'm reading it right now. The team waived him at the end of the 89 season because of a lack of production and an incident that happened after a loss to it was the Phoenix Cardinals at the time, when head coach Jimmy Johnson saw him talking with some of his friends among the Cardinals player. So Jimmy Johnson didn't like that. After losing, you don't go talk to your friends on the other team. So let him go, but worked out pretty good for both of them, I think. So my number 9 was Everson Walls. All right, number 8.
Number 8. All right, this is going to be the first repeat that I have with John. DeMarcus Ware.
Okay.
So I'll echo a lot of what John said about DeMarcus. Just he had a motor that just wouldn't quit.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll tell you, and I'll get you guys' opinion on this. What are they going to do about Michael Parsons?
Oh, man.
What can they do? You guys, I was talking to a Cowboy fan not too long ago. I said, you guys have put most of your money into 2 guys, into CD and Dak.
Yep.
And it's hindering you now. I mean, do you expect Micah to take like a hometown discount and stay with the team? Or did he want – because, I mean, I don't know when it comes to it. It's not like it used to be in the NFL. This is a job to them. They got to make their money so they can live the rest of their lives. So why would you expect him to take any less with the production? I mean, that guy's a freaking monster. I mean, talk about somebody that has a motor that won't quit. That guy has a motor that won't quit because he keeps coming. He gets knocked down. He keeps coming. I mean, I saw
him triple teamed. Keeps on.
And he chased. I mean, who was the quarterback? Was it Sam Darnold one year? They were playing, I think, on Thanksgiving. And he just kept coming and kept coming. Sam Darnold just threw it. And Sam Darnold ended up throwing it right to a Cowboy to get away from Michael Parsons. But, yeah, I don't know what you do there. I don't know how they're going to work this out to be able to pay him. I mean, I know you can do some things. You can maybe Dak. And Dak, if I'm Dak, I know you got to make money. Believe me, we just talked about that. But the money he's making, are you going to be able to spend all that money in your lifetime? Because I know I couldn't. Do you rather have all that money sitting around, or would you rather have a Super Bowl ring?
Right.
I want enough money to get me by, but also you playing football to get a Super Bowl ring.
Yep.
Anyway, that's just my little rant. But all right, so let's go to your number 8.
My number 8. Honestly, looking at the sheet, I could have probably swapped 8 and 9 around, but I had number 8. This particular guy because back in early childhood and stuff, this is who I grew up watching, and 6 seasons with Dallas, 4,700 rushing yards, 53 touchdowns, 1,300 receiving yards, and almost 60 touchdowns with 1 Pro Bowl, Marion Barber. Really enjoyed watching him.
Marion
Barber.
Yeah.
Didn't he pass away too?
He did.
Yes,
sir.
Yeah, he passed away young. He was one of those.
It's pretty exciting to watch.
Yeah, and he could break one at any time too.
Yeah, man, that face mask he had, it was just like,
like
that far from his nose, man. It was wild.
Yeah, Marion Barber. I didn't think we'd see him on the list. You guys are going with the not so obvious one so far. We'll see how we get to Emmett at number 9. I'm surprised at that. I'm sure it'll be higher on somebody else's list. So my number, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh wow. My number 8 is Mr. The I guess the cover boy back in the 90s, and the one of the trio that you guys that brought you all these Super Bowl rings. I remember when he got drafted. Boy, I was big into football cards back then. 89, and one of his card at Barry Sanders, and I think Dion's that you were looking for, and maybe Derek Thomas. Yeah, Derek Thomas was there. Mm-hmm. So, but this guy, he played 12 years for the Cowboys, 3 Super Bowl rings, Pro Football Hall of Famer from UCLA, Troy Aikman. Now, I don't care much for him on the microphone because I think he's him and Joe Button. Somebody does because he's making a killing doing that. But,
right.
And unfortunately, I don't know if he would have played even with the concussion issues, how much longer he would have played. You had 12 years out of him, but man, did you talk about somebody that had some concussion issues? This was one of the first ones I remember seeing people be a whole lot concerned about Troy Aikman. The last play I think he played as a Cowboy was LeVar Arrington, and it slammed. I mean, he got his head slammed down that turf at Cowboy Stadium, and it's not worth it. I really think as a player, you want to be able to walk and remember what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be Antonio Brown when you get to later in life either.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Troy Aikman, I mean, he doesn't get mentioned a lot. As good as he was, though, he doesn't get mentioned a lot with some of the best quarterbacks that played. You hear Tom Brady, you hear Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, but you don't hear Aikman's name brought up a lot. And I think I don't agree with that because, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. I mean, the guy won 3 Super Bowls with Dallas. He put up great numbers. Struggled that first year with that awful team he had around him. But when he had talent around him, Troy Aikman was a winner. And, it troubles me to say that again, but I will say that. All right. So number 7.
Number 7. 12 seasons with Dallas from 94 to 2005. 10 Pro Bowls.
Wow.
One-time Super Bowl winner, and he's also a member of the Hall of Fame and the Cowboys Ring of Honor. Offensive guard, Larry Allen.
What about that offensive line the Cowboys had back then?
Oh, my goodness.
Larry Allen, Nate Newton,
Stepnoski.
Who was the other? There was one big
Eric
Williams.
Eric Williams.
Jeez, you and I'm gonna ask y'all this question. Y'all, I know y'all are Cowboy fans, but let's say we did a trade when Dallas had this line. Let's say you guys end up with Barry Sanders behind that offensive line he had, and Emmett had to play behind Detroit's line. Who's the leading rusher at the end of the day?
Without a doubt, for me, Barry Sanders.
Yeah, I was about to say it had to be Barry.
Because I've said that all along. I said if Barry Sanders had that line that Emmitt Smith had, he wouldn't be doing this Houdini stuff that he had to do.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
you drive cars or some of them.
God no.
Even with all of the moves that Sanders had to do in Detroit and kind of the subpar teams that he had, especially toward the end of his career, he was still beating Emmett in overall rushing yards.
Yeah.
In Detroit. So if you put Barry with that offensive line in the early to mid 90s, I think Sweetness's record would have fallen a lot sooner if Barry would have kept playing.
Yeah, and I think if he'd have had a team like the Cowboys had back then, if he was part of that, he would have kept playing a little bit longer. I mean, because how frustrating could it have been for him to be playing the way he was and to be on some of those teams? Detroit had some good teams, but they had a lot of mediocre teams, like you said, near the end. And then to get close to a Super Bowl, but just, the Redskins throttled them in that NFC Championship game that year. But, I just think if roles were reversed, you'd be seeing a different outcome in the rushing yards. All right.
Absolutely.
Larry Allen. So number 7 for you.
Number 7 for me, 2-time All-Pro, 11 Pro Bowls, and even one time he played with a ruptured spleen, Mr. Jason Witten.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Tony Romo's best friend, too.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
He saved Tony Romo a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Tony Romo is making y'all's list. I hadn't thought about that. I didn't even have him on my honorable mentions over here, and I got to think about that. That's kind of a travesty there. But, yeah, Jason Witten, I think he made a retiring and then going to Monday Night Football, which he was horrible on Monday Night Football. Him and Booger McFarland were terrible.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! And Booger McFarland going up and down the sidelines on that little thing up there. That was that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in football right there. And that goes on with I think the year Dennis Miller was up there in Monday Night Football. That was
gosh,
too.
I forgot about Dennis.
But Witten coming back and playing with the Raiders, I don't think he should have done that. I mean, Witten had great years with the Cowboys, like you said. One of the best tight ends to ever play for the Cowboys, if not the best. Of course, Novacek's got to be up there somewhere. But, yeah, I can totally see Jason Witten up here at number 7. I could have probably put him a little higher, but I've got some guys up here that, like I said, you guys will probably be shocked when I tell you my number 6 is coming up. But number 7 for me is a repeat, and you talked about him earlier. Your number 9, Darren Woodson, just a leader of that defense and so important to that defense in the secondary. Evidently, my dog liked that too. Anyway, yeah, Darren Woodson, he's going to be my number 7. We talked about him a little bit earlier, so I'm not going to really get into any more of that. All right, number 6 for you.
Number 6. He doesn't have the most impressive stats, but he's kind of one of those guys that was in the middle of everything. If it wasn't for this guy, I don't think you would have Emmett as all-time leading rusher. 11 seasons with Dallas from 89 to 99. 753 total career rushing yards, 22 touchdowns. He was a good little safety valve for Aikman. 294 passes caught for 2,200 yards. 3-time Super Bowl winner. 3-time Pro Bowler. Daryl Moose Johnston.
Yeah, I mean that guy. He's one of my honorable mentions, and like you said, okay, easy on there. What are you talking about over here? You got excited about the Cowboys all of a sudden. Yeah, so important to every yard that Emmett got. I mean, I think Emmett even acknowledged that in his Hall of Fame speech, how important Daryl Johnston was to him, and does a great job with the in the booth too. I do enjoy listening to Daryl Johnston because he puts it out there. But man, some of the blocks he made too. A lot of people, if you go up there on YouTube and look at some of Daryl Johnston's blocks, man, he crushed some people. But a big pickup out of nowhere for the Cowboys too.
Yes.
So
out of Syracuse.
Yeah, out of Syracuse, and you never really had. I mean, I hadn't heard of Daryl Johnston until he was with the Cowboys, and I follow college football, but gosh, such a key component of those 3 Super Bowl teams as well. All right, number 6 for you.
Man, talk about a safety valve. Number 6 for me, Mr. Cole Beasley. Played 103 games in Dallas, and one time was almost I ain't gonna say right up there with Witten, but he sure did get a lot of targets. So
yeah,
won a few games and stuff too. I remember that one. I forget who they were playing, but he caught that pass in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. Got both feet in.
I remember that. I cannot remember who they were playing against, but I do remember that because I was like, "There's no way." There's no way he caught that ball. But yeah, he did. Ends up leaving and going. Didn't he go to Buffalo for a little while? I'll tell you who Cole Beasley, and I know you guys probably won't remember. Your dad will definitely remember this guy, so you can ask your dad about this guy. There was a guy in the early 80s, maybe late 70s, that played on those teams. His name was Golden Richards.
Yes.
Yes, and he had the same – when the first time I saw Cole Beasley play, I said, that guy reminds me of Golden Richards. I mean, he makes the tough catches. He can go across the middle. I mean, because at the time, you had these high-profile receivers there. You had Drew Pearson. You had Tony Hill. You had, I think, even Butch Johnson. But Golden Richards was the one that either Roger Staubach or Danny White, when they needed something across the middle, a big first down, they looked for Golden Richards. And but yeah, Cole Beasley reminds me a lot of him. Yeah, Cole Beasley at number 6. Okay. All right, so my number 6 right here. This may shock you guys a little bit, but this was I like a lot of defensive players. I like watching defense. When I played, I'd much rather play defense than offense. And the tough guys, the guys that don't get heralded a lot, but the guys that are tough. And this guy was tough, but injuries just hampered him and kept him out and ended his career way early. I'm talking about linebacker Sean Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I loved watching it as much as I disliked the Cowboys. I loved Sean Lee, and to see him go through all the concussions and stuff. He comes out of Penn State, which is a linebacker U. I mean, so many great linebackers came out of there. 2-time Pro Bowler, first team All-Pro, but man, you talk about somebody that just couldn't keep from getting injured.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it was because he went out there and went all out and didn't care. He put his body out there every play.
Oh, yeah.
So Sean Lee, like I said, I would love to see him in Pittsburgh. He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, So I would have loved to see him there, but that I just hated it ended so abruptly for him. But yeah, Sean Lee's my number 6.
Man, that's about like Vander Esch too. It's like some of that stuff, just injuries pile up, and it's crazy.
People talk about the team I coach at school. We're really low on numbers out here, so we play 8-man football. Vander Esch is one of the few guys that played 8-man football in high school and played in the NFL. I think there's one more that played for Tampa Bay. I can't remember his name now, but Vander Esch. I always pulled for Vander Esch because I was like, that's my 8-man guy there. I want to see him do well. And he had, with the neck, with Vander Esch, that really hurt him. But man, he was doing a great job for you guys. And he wore my number. He wore 55 too. So that was all right. So number 5.
Number 5. Now this is a pretty big name. Total of a little over almost 23,000 passing yards, 153 passing touchdowns, 2,200 rushing yards, and 20 rushing touchdowns. Player of the Year in 1971, 6 Pro Bowls. Biggest thing, 21 game-winning drives. Captain comeback, 2-time Super Bowl champion, Roger Staubach.
I was getting ready to say, when you said 1971, I said, he's got to be talking about Staubach. But I didn't think you would go that far back. But, yeah, gosh, as a kid, hated seeing that guy come on the field because you knew the game was never over when he came out there on the field.
You knew you always had a chance when Roger took the field.
You remember, and I vaguely remember it as a kid, but I'm sure you guys weren't around then, but your dads probably talked about it. Can't think of the guy's name that took his place when he got hurt.
On Thanksgiving against Washington?
This guy.
Clint Longley.
Who?
Clint Longley.
Oh, yes. And, the stories about what happened between them two.
Yes.
I think Roger was the nice guy, the goody two shoes, so they called him or whatever. But I think Roger took him out. But Clint Longley, he comes in there so cocky after he wins one game and thinks he's just going to take over and Roger Staubach's out. That won't go happen. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, yeah, just from the stories that I've heard, Clint did come in after the game. I mean, I get it. You threw a deep bomb to Pearson on the left side, won the game. Fantastic. You win the division. But sometimes you need to do just a little bit more work before you start running your mouth. So
don't run your mouth just because, you got that one play. You got to do it. Staubach had Super Bowl rings.
Right.
Back him up. Have you guys ever seen that movie North Dallas 40?
I have not. I've wanted to see it, but I've never have seen it.
You need to watch that movie. That is about the Cowboys. Peter Gent, who played wide receiver for the Cowboys, wrote a novel about his time with the Cowboys. And one of the characters in that movie, there's a guy that he don't call him Staubach in there, he calls him Hartman. And then they've got another one in there that's supposed to be Don Meredith. And Don Meredith was the playboy, and Staubach was the goody two-shoes guy. But, I've watched that movie so many times as a kid. I know it backwards and forwards. Great movie. As Cowboy fans, you guys need to watch that movie.
You've got to watch that for sure.
Yeah. All right, number 5 for you.
Man, number 5, this one may surprise both of y'all. He really moved up on my list. I think it was maybe 2017, 2018 against the Raiders. He made a game-winning, I guess he hit Derek Carr, made him fumble, and basically sealed the deal for the game. 7 seasons with Dallas, mostly a special teams contributor, 393 tackles, 304 solo, 8 interceptions, Mr. Jeff Heath.
Oh, wow. Another big-time safety for the Cowboys there. And what? Did the injury slow him down too?
I think so. I really think.
Didn't he go to Miami or somewhere after?
and I think he did. But man, every time he's on the field, he
just disappeared after.
Yeah, he was a hard, underrated hitter, in my opinion.
It reminded me a lot of Darren Woodson, honestly.
Yeah.
Yes, he does. So let's look here. He played for the Cowboys from 2013 to 19, then went to the Raiders. And finished up with the Saints in 2021. Let me see if it says why. Wasn't re-signed after the season with the Saints. Doesn't say anything about injuries or anything, but I don't know. He was always one guy, like you said, would make like another guy with special teams that you guys had back in the 90s. Kenneth Gant. Gosh, no, that guy was always around the ball. He was a pesky little guy too, but yeah, Jeff Heath was like that. And Gant tried to do. I think Gant used to do the shark thing or something like that when he would make it was some kind of dance he would do.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I forgot about that.
All right, my number 5. You got one of you's already talked about him. I'm sure he's probably a little bit further up on your list. Emmitt Smith. I mean, what can you say? I just remember. I know I always said, like we talked about before, that offensive line makes the biggest difference with Emmitt. But, man, how tough was Emmitt Smith? When you see him playing in a game against the Giants, he goes down. Is it the Giants? I think it was the Giants. He goes down with a separated shoulder.
Oh, yeah, they pop it back in.
Pops it back in place and comes out, plays the second half, and just goes off. I mean, you can't question his toughness. And, that was one of the things when the Steelers played him in the Super Bowl that year, in Super Bowl 30. I was like, that was what I was worried about most, Emmitt Smith. We got to stop Emmitt. And we held him in check to the end. But, man, he could take over a game. He could bust open tackle. And wasn't the biggest guy in the world either. But 5'9", 220 pounds. He had a little bit of a load up there. He was short, but he had that big frame. And he would pop you every once in a while. Part of that big trio with the Cowboys with Aikman, Irvin, and him. What can you say? One of the greatest running backs ever played a game, in my opinion. And I know I give him a hard time about the offensive line thing, but man, he did a lot of things with it that a lot of running backs wouldn't have done with that same offensive line. He was special. But Emmitt Smith is my number 5. Bad as I hate to say it, he was one of the best of all time. All right, number 4.
Number 4. This fellow played 14 seasons with the Cowboys, his entire career with Dallas. 2-time Super Bowl champ and co-MVP of Super Bowl 12. So many accolades. 209 games played. He only missed one game in his career. Over 1,100 tackles, over 100 sacks. Hall of Fame member, Cowboys Ring of Honor member, and the reason why I donned number 54 in high school when I had the chance to choose between, I had 2 numbers to choose from, and I chose 54. Randy the Manster White.
Yeah, now that was a guy that was tough. I mean, you talk about playing games with. You look at these guys nowadays, and one of the things my coach would tell us for every season said, if you're hurt, you can play through hurt. If you're injured, I want you to come out. I don't want you coming up to me saying, oh, I got a little scratch here, or, I got an ingrown hair somewhere or something like that. It hurts. He said, you need to play through that. And I remember watching Randy White play one of the Super Bowls against the Steelers. I think he had this big old cast up there. And it actually probably may have cost the Cowboys a game, because I think he tried to pick up a kick or something like that, and he couldn't pick it up, and he turned the ball over. I'll have to go back and watch that again. But, man, University of Maryland, like you said, he was just a monster. I think it was him and Harvey Martin that were the MVPs of the Super Bowl that year against Denver. You did not want to see 54 coming towards you. He always scared me as a kid. Yeah, I can definitely see Randy White. He's in my honorable mentions down here, but Randy White was a beast, no doubt about it. What was the other number you chose? You had to choose from.
Well, it was either 54 or 53.
Bob Rooney? You remember Bob Rooney?
Well, I wound up going with 53. I played 1 year of college ball.
Okay.
And the only number they had 53 available. 54 was already taken, so I just dropped down a digit to 53. But 54, I've kept that close to me ever since high school. And on a lot of personal things, I do like a little 54 here or there.
Oh,
so
I got you. Yeah. Look,
that's
I always tell my kids, and I don't think but maybe one in the 16 years I've coached, I don't think but one player on my team has wore my number 55. I was like, if you pick 55, you got a lot to live up to in my eyes. And they're like, why do you say that? I said, because I wore that number. And then they're like, oh, whatever, like that. But yeah, 55 was my number. That was, who was it? The guy that wore 55 that I looked up to. It was a guy for the Steelers on my offensive line. His name was John Kolb. And man, I won't know where I'm going to get arms as big as that guy was. This guy had freaking him and Mike Webster back in the day. They had like arms, and they wrapped them things up, pulled them up, and they just looked even bigger then. But Randy White, man, that is a blast from the past, and one of the best defensive players the Cowboys have ever seen. Matter of fact, I think I saw him on social media not too long ago. Maybe the last couple of weeks, they had a picture of him up there with a Cowboy, one of the current Cowboys. I think he was at Cowboys camp or something like that. And he still looks good. Still looks good. Still looks like he could go out there and play again.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Number 4.
Number 4, got a repeat. And man, just other than just, like I said, let's see, it was really like early on in my childhood and stuff. So I just kind of remember seeing like highlights and stuff like that. But I remember one particular time Aikman threw an interception, and he turned around and turned on the jets to chase him down. Like I said, it's a repeat, but Mr. Larry Allen, one of the strongest.
Oh, yeah.
Strongest guys to ever play on the line. So.
Yeah, that highlight you're talking about, yeah. Larry Allen chases down a linebacker, and Larry Allen just like.
Was that against the Saints?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Chases down a linebacker at 300 pounds. I mean,
I'd hate to see him running at me full speed.
Can you imagine seeing that guy pulling and coming down the field at you? If you're a defensive back and the guy coming full speed at 300 pounds at you, I would be digging a hole. I would be digging a hole under the turf. I would not want to step in front of that back truck. But yeah, Larry Allen, big part of the Cowboys' success back in the 90s. Really big part, no pun intended about it. So my number 4, and we talk about players that switch between the 49ers and the Cowboys. And this guy, he's actually coaching with another rival of you guys now. He's one of the Washington. He's a Washington Commanders. I got ready to say Redskins, but they'll always be Redskins to me.
Yeah,
linebackers coach for the Redskins, and you talk about a tough guy. And man, we really stepped up when the Cowboys they start having that success in the early 90s. One of the other leaders of that defense, talking about Ken Norton Jr. You sit there and look at this guy out there, and just shocks me when he goes to the. He was one of the first ones I think that went to the 49ers from the Cowboys. I'm like, all those years you guys played like in the NFC Championship games, you guys were like at each other's throat. And money talks, I guess, guys, because that guy, he went over there in a hurry. 3-time Super Bowl champion, one first team All-Pro one time, 3-time Pro Bowl, Super Bowl champion as a coach. So, yeah, Ken Norton Jr. and his dad, great boxer too. I remember when he first came along, I was like, I remember seeing his dad box. And I was like, well, maybe he'll be all right. Kind of didn't want to pull for him, but then kind of did. But glad to see. He's one of the ones I was glad to see have some success with the Cowboys. Didn't like him that much in the 49ers uniform. I know y'all did. But yeah, Ken Norton Jr. is my number 4. All right, number 3.
All right, number 3. So this one is kind of like Moose Johnston. You don't have the most impressive numbers, but when I was a kid, I wanted to be this guy. I wanted to go play ball at the University of Tennessee, and then I wanted to go become a Dallas Cowboy. I have a personal story with this fella. Pretty cool. Got to go visit his ranch whenever they were living in Texas. My family did, and all. Got an autograph from him, and pretty cool. But he played 15 seasons with Dallas, and he was never supposed to make the team every year. Played from 83 to 97.
I think I know.
14 interceptions, 18 sacks. Had one Pro Bowl appearance, and it was the reason why special teams got the Pro Bowl. Got a representation.
Double B.
Old Billy Bates, number 40.
That was another one I intensely disliked back in the day. That's another one that was always around the ball back in the day too. And I one of the things I always remember about him is when you started seeing the home videos and the mic'd up videos coming out, Bill Bates leaving the sidelines and one of the guys carrying the yard mark was an old guy, and Bill Bates absolutely headbutts him, turns around and headbutts him. He said, and Bates is like, "You all right?" And then he said, and he looks at the other guy. He said, "Yeah, he got nailed. You need to check on it. He got nailed." But yeah, I mean, what can you say? That's another guy that I was, as much as I disliked him, man, he put in the work all those years, and to see him have some success with the Cowboys and get Super Bowl rings, that was awesome to me. I mean, Bill Bates, because he worked his butt off. And like you said, one of those guys that was never supposed to make team every year, but he was always there. That number 40 was, gosh, you see him coming, you was like, oh, God, here comes Bill Bates again. He's making another play on special teams, or even getting out there on defense sometimes, and like you said, making those interceptions. But he was always around the ball. Bill Bates, yeah. And I don't know why I didn't have him on the list, because I was really happy for that guy later. Not so much in the early 80s, but later on in his career, I was happy to see him, because that, like I said, I like the underdog, and when you see my number 3 pick, that's going to be a big underdog that made it big as a Cowboy. But before we get there, we got to get to your number 3. Who you got?
My number 3 played 7 seasons with Dallas. First-round pick in 2013, 4-time Pro Bowl selection, 3-time All-Pro, started 96 games. He anchored the offensive line for DeMarco Murray and Ezekiel Elliott, Mr. Travis Frederick.
Wow.
All right.
That's that offensive lineman that, most of the time when you talk about offensive lineman with the Cowboys, you're talking about the 90s. But some of these guys, you got a few guys up there. I mean, what was the guy, and I can never remember his name, the guy that just retired?
Tyron Smith. Yeah.
I mean, that's another one that was big for the Cowboys here in lately. But Travis Frederick, I never thought we would have him up here on the list, but that's now, like I said, that's the gap difference, the age difference there. All right. So my number 3, this is a guy that drafted in the 3rd round and really came out of nowhere for the Cowboys. I don't think expected much out of him, to be the player he ends up being. I think he played 8 seasons with the Cowboys, a couple with the Rams, another defensive player, linebacker, wore number 52, Dexter Coakley.
Oh, yeah.
Appalachian State guy. That was the first thing I saw. They got a guy from Appalachian State, being from the state of North Carolina, and you guys are around that area too. Seeing a guy from App State, and you always want to pull for. This was before really App State made the big splash with the Michigan win and all this. But Coakley, and he's from South Carolina, but man, he came out of nowhere and just became a star in camp. And everybody's like, well, he's a star in camp, but we'll see how he does. He handles the real deal. And man, did he handle it. Gets the all-rookie team in 97, 3-time Pro Bowler, and leads the Cowboy in tackles so many years. And he was consistent every year. I know you guys hated to see him go to the Rams, but
Yes.
yeah, he filled that middle so well, played such great defense with the Cowboys. But Dexter Coakley is my number 3.
If we were doing an honorable mention, Dexter would be on there for me.
Yeah, you always want to see. I always want to pull for the underdog. I watch there's a lot of preseason I watch, and you see these guys, and you're like, maybe he'll have a shot. And that automatically, if they got a good story, that automatically makes me, no matter, except for the Ravens. If you're playing for the Ravens, unless you're playing for the team that I pull for East Carolina, and there's 2 guys up there. Well, yeah, you guys actually got one guy from East Carolina this year in the draft, the Ravel, that plays defensive back. I hope he'll make it, just not so much as the Cowboy when he's playing against Pittsburgh. But yeah, the Ravens got a guy from East Carolina, and that's the only reason I would ever pull for the Ravens. Let him run 10 yards, and next play let somebody else lose 10 yards. But yeah, I always pull for the underdog. So, all right, so let's see. You're number 2. Here we go, guys. We're getting into the big stuff.
All right, number 2. So I never did get to see this guy play, but I kind of like to say that I'm a Cowboys historian, and the more I look and watch what tape is available and just kind of hearing his interviews and the type of person that he is, it just moved up the list for me. He only missed 1 game. 11 Pro Bowls, and I know they didn't keep up with sacks back then, but 95.5 sacks, Ring of Honor, Hall of Famer, 14 seasons with the Cowboys, and the first ever draft pick of the Dallas Cowboys, Mr. Cowboy, Bob Lilly.
I'll tell you this story. There's a guy I worked with. He was at a hardware store right when I first got out of high school. And he was a diehard Cowboys fan. And all through, I worked there for years, and worked there in the early 90s when they were so great. And we would always talk about, who is your favorite Cowboy? And he was like, without a doubt, it's Bob Lilly. And he said, I even wore his number. I made sure I got that number when I played high school football. So, yeah, I never really got to see him play. I've only seen bits and pieces here and there, the little highlight films they do sometimes. But everything I've heard, what a great player. He is one of the legendary Cowboys and definitely deserves to be number 2 up here. But see, that's surprising there. You guys are going – I thought I was going to be the only one to go back way, way back with the Cowboys. But, you got a few of them up here. All right, number 2 for you.
This particular guy caught a particular pass about 10 years ago in Green Bay, and they said he didn't. And I think he even ended his career with Baltimore, Mr. Dez Bryant.
Good Lord, you had to bring up Baltimore. I would have.
Oh, my goodness.
Actually, technically, I'm not going to hold that against him because I think he actually signed for a day with the Saints. And
yeah.
He was injured, so he didn't finish.
I forgot about that.
I'm not going to hold that against him with the Baltimore thing because, finishing your career with Baltimore. Ooh, anyway. But Dez, yeah. And to this day, and I know you guys, Cowboy fans, always think about it. If they'd have made the right call, because I believe that was a catch, no matter whether you're a Washington fan, an Eagles fan, a Giants fan, in your heart, if that was one of your wide receivers in that same situation, you'd have been arguing that was a catch. Hard for a lot of the NFL officials to tell what a catch is. With me, the whole Jesse James thing against New England, how in the world you didn't call that a catch? But Dez definitely caught that ball. And think about how different that may have been for the Cowboys then. You guys end up – because you would end up beating Green Bay, moving on to the playoffs. No telling what you would have done after that, what would have happened after that. Yeah. You may have finally picked up that Super Bowl win that you have been waiting for since 95. So, and Romo gets a Super Bowl. a lot of things would have been different if they'd have made the right call there. And you're not going to get any argument out of me. That was a catch. And Dez comes out of University of Pittsburgh and just lights it up from the start. I mean, and of course the 88 number, is synonymous with Cowboys legendary wide receivers. You had Drew Pearson, you had Michael Irvin, and then Dez. And so, I mean, Dez, I hated to see him end up his career the way it did with the injuries, but man, did he put on a show while he was healthy, especially with the Cowboys. All right. So my number 2, I told you this was going to be kind of nostalgia. As a kid, like I said, and I've made that very clear that I had an intense dislike for the Cowboys. But there was a guy on the team, and I think he came to the Cowboys in 1980, was there till 88. And you don't see we're in a rural area of North Carolina, eastern North Carolina. And there's not a lot of times you see guys from this area that you can watch on TV. Especially, this was the first guy that was a local boy that I could watch on TV every week with the Cowboys. And I was always like, well, I mean, he played right down the road from me. A little town called Hutcheson, North Carolina. He went at Winston-Salem State, ends up being the blocking back for Tony Dorsett for a lot of those years, played special teams a lot. I'm talking about Timmy Newsome, number 30, Timmy Newsome. And evidently he was doing something right to be with the Cowboys for 9 years. Not big numbers at all, but he had 30 touchdowns, only 1,200 yards rushing, 212 receptions, almost 2,000 yards receiving. But and he would play special teams. He would go all out. Evidently, Tom Landry liked the way he played because he kept him out there, and he kept him out there blocking for his big guy, for his big running back, Tony Dorsett. He was always out there blocking for Dorsett, or whether it was Dorsett or Robert Newhouse. Timmy Newsome from about the second year he was there, he was out there playing fullback. But yeah, that, like I said, nostalgia here, and the fact that I could say, well, he played right down the road from me, and I've watched him on TV every week. So that was big for me. But Timmy Newsome is my number 2. All right, here we go.
All right, so
I'm kind of curious to see who this is right here, because I think I know who yours is. I think I know who this next one's going to be.
So number 1. Now, if we were talking about just all Cowboys, not just the players, my number 1 would ultimately be Tom Landry. But since we're talking players, and I believe John and I have the same number 1, and this is weird. This is weird for us. We have the Cowboy that has thrown for the most passing yards and passing touchdowns.
He went undrafted, played 12 seasons.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah.
Most games with at least 300 passing yards, and the guy that threw that particular touchdown pass about 10 years ago or so, Mr. Tony Romo.
So both of y'all have Tony Romo at number 1.
That's right.
Okay.
Man, I honestly think if they put together and gave Romo as many chances and weapons and brought people in as they did, or they're doing with the Dak. You talk about, Pickens coming in, and, I know like Romo's had Dez and Witten and stuff, but there was a lot of times through those years, he didn't have the line. And then that kind of come later on.
And then you didn't have the defense.
The defense. And
I mean, I feel like if you took Romo and you put him in there in the early to mid 70s in stallback spot, they still win Super Bowls. Or put him in Danny White's spot in the early 80s.
Oh, yeah.
They win Super Bowls. If you put Tony Romo in there in the 90s in Aikman's spot, they win Super Bowls. And it's just one of those, there are some players that you can't help when your era is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, like John said, first part of his career didn't really have the complete O-line. You had some pieces.
And there's a lot of people that talk about, all of the interceptions he's thrown, but, he has 25 fourth quarter comebacks. And a lot of times he was playing to try to catch up. So, when your back's against the wall, you just got to sling it sometimes. So, he was, like he said, I think if he was on different eras, different teams, had a different.
Yeah, I look, I had no problem with Romo. Romo was a great player. Like you said, another undrafted guy, so you were kind of pulling for him and then the whole deal when he got hurt, Dak steps in.
Yeah.
That kind of divided Cowboys Nation for a little while about, well, you're not supposed to lose your job because of injury, but some people was like, well, Dak's gonna be the next big thing. Well, guess what? Dak ain't won you a Super Bowl either. So, but this is weird with your list. I don't see Aikman, Emmett, or Irvin.
I have a lot of respect for Michael and Emmett. Emmett, I do feel like he very, very, very hard runner, but what kind of kept him off my top 10 was if Dallas did draft Barry Sanders. I think Barry would have been your all-time leading rusher. Michael, he has went up my list after he's retired and the things he's done. It's just hard for me to separate Michael, his antics, and those type of things away from his play. But I mean, two very talented individuals, and then Aikman just never been one of my favorites.
Right.
I could probably go into that a little bit more, but he's just not really been that guy for me.
Right. Well, you talk about Michael's antics. That's like with me. Antonio Brown should probably be one of the greatest wide receivers ever played a game. But with everything that's going on with him, people have to constantly remind you the numbers that he put up, but all that crap that he's done, the crap he did at the end of his career, in Tampa Bay,
right?
That's taken away all of that. You don't remember Antonio Brown remember when he made a catch against Baltimore on the side of his helmet in the playoff game, but you don't remember all these great plays he made because you're thinking about what he's done since these stupid antics. And Irvin was not going to make my list. I mean, Drew Pearson could have made my list. Tony Hill was an underrated receiver, but Irvin was not going to make my list. And we're talking about favorites here too. So that Irvin was never one of my favorites. His mouth and some of the things he did. The only time I ever felt sorry for Irvin was when he got hurt against Philadelphia. He hurt his neck, and the Philadelphia fans were cheering. That's totally uncalled for.
Old Veterans Stadium, yeah.
This guy could have been paralyzed. His career could have been over. You're cheering. I mean, that's wrong. But yeah, that's okay. Let me get to my number one, and then we'll talk a little bit about. So you guys talked about my number one earlier. Well, one of you did. But yeah, Roger Staubach. I mean, ultimate respect for the guy. I remember, and I've gone back and watched because that 79 season was the last of the Steelers' 4 Super Bowls, and they played Dallas in the regular season that year. And I believe it was L.C. Greenwood hit Staubach, and I mean just pummeled him in the ground. And that was one of those concussions that led to Staubach saying, "Hey, I'm done." I mean, he could have probably came back and still been a great quarterback for a couple more years, but he was like, "Nope, I'm done. I'm not going to risk it anymore." And it was kind of sad to watch because I remember watching him the next year. He actually got the broadcast booth for a year, I think, and then I reckon he decided that wasn't for him either. He wanted to be at home, but it was sad watching him up there. But Roger Staubach could lead him from behind anytime. He was, like I said, the game was never out of reach if Staubach came in the game. And but yeah, I got him as my number one favorite Cowboy. But what do you guys okay, you guys talked about this. Favorite quarterback it's got to be Tony Romo. But if you had to pick one to be Tony Romo's backup out of all these Cowboys, would it be Staubach? Would it be Danny White? Would it be Aikman? Who would be that backup you'd want for that quarterback for Romo?
If Tony Romo is my starting quarterback, I love Roger, but Roger would not embrace that role because you know how it was with him and Craig Morton. Well, even the 72 season when they wound up beating the Dolphins, him and Craig Morton were going at it.
Yep.
But I would think, and this may be unpopular, but my backup quarterback would be Danny White because Danny understood the role.
Yep. Danny White was a better backup than he was a starter. Danny, and look, that was a big, when I was really getting into football, Danny White was the quarterback for the Cowboys. I mean, I had a couple years with Staubach, but Danny White, my thing with Danny White couldn't stay healthy. I mean, he would get beat up a lot. I mean, I remember the Redskins game, the NFC Championship game, Dexter Manley put him out. And then you had Gary Hogaboom. Remember Gary Hogaboom?
Gary Hogaboom, yeah.
Gary Hogaboom comes in there and starts lighting the Redskins up for a little bit. We thought we were going to have another Clint Longley deal, but they end up taking down. But I'm trying to think of some of the other quarterbacks the Cowboys have had over the years. You had White, Hogaboom, Steve Pallore. You remember him?
I remember Steve.
Steve Pallore.
Steve Berline.
You remember Berline was there when Jimmy Johnson made the Aikman pick, and then Steve Walsh, he picks him in the supplemental draft. And everybody's like, what is he doing? Because Steve Walsh was his quarterback at Miami. Everybody was figuring, well, he's going to dump Aikman, and he's going to stick with Steve Walsh. But the way it sounds, Johnson planned to just have Walsh there for trade. He wanted to trade him. So,
yeah, I think he did.
He ended up trading him.
Yeah, to Chicago.
Yep, exactly. Gosh, I'm thinking of.
And then even like Don Meredith and Craig Morton, those early years. That's
Dandy Don. I remember Monday Night Football with Dandy Don. I tell you what, guys, if you get a chance to go back and watch some of those YouTube videos with Don Meredith, Frank Gifford, and Howard Cosell in the Monday Night Football booth, there was a lot of alcoholic beverages being down in that booth. You could tell by the end of that. You could tell when it's getting near the end of that game because when Don Meredith starts singing, "Turn out the lights, the party's
over."
But yeah, I mean, it's fun to look back at some of this stuff and think about, like I said, with the Dez Bryant thing. What would, and I know as a Cowboys fan, that troubles y'all to this day. Because it would me at the Jesse James thing, it troubles me to this day because those daggum Patriots, we had them beat, and then we get a bull crap call like that. But so let's see how many repeats did we have up here. Staubach was on my list and one list. You guys both had Romo. Let's see, Larry Allen. Emmett and DeMarcus Ware. So there were some repeats up here, but all in all, not as bad as I thought it was going to be having to pick, Cowboy players out of here as my favorites. Like I said, but what are you guys thinking about this upcoming year for the Cowboys? What is your outlook for this team? I know it's hard because every year it seems like, and I'm being totally honest, not picking fun at anything, because every year ever since Dak has got in that quarterback position, you guys have played your butts off till January or the end of December and January, and then it just seems like a switch just goes off. And, I had a Cowboy fan tell me that Green Bay game, Dak threw for over 300 yards in that game. I said, how much did he throw for in the first three quarters? How much of that was garbage time when he threw for those yards, because that's what he got. Green Bay was in prevent defense and just keep in front of him. That's why if y'all gonna go by numbers, and he was awesome that day. But he had what was it? He had a pick six and probably had another turnover right there before the half. He threw it. The guy from Green Bay, the linebacker from Green Bay, dropped the pass right in his hands right before the half. But what is your outlook for this year with the Cowboys?
Man, I'd like to think maybe it's I don't know about no playoff run, but I'd like to see maybe a step in the right direction, especially this new coach. I'd like to give him a chance at least, but I don't want to get too excited just yet. But because as soon as I get excited, they let me down. So
yeah, well, I can understand that. I definitely can understand that.
I really think we're going to be fortunate to make 9-8.
Oh, really?
I think that would be an ultimate win if we were able to get to that point. I feel like our new head coach is a step behind McCarthy. I do feel like we're in a good position offensively.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure about our O-line. We're really young again.
yeah,
and not a lot of experience, but that's paid dividends for us before. So I'm hopeful on offense. I think there's going to be some growing pains. Defense, I don't know what to expect, to be honest with you, defensively. I think we did okay in the draft defensively, but is this team going to gel together?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you definitely got more weapons last year. The thing about offense, how is the running game going to come along? That's the big thing there, because if the running game comes along, then that'll help your passing game. You got Pickens. Yeah, you criticizing me over here again. My dog is. Pickens is there. How he handles being a number 2 guy, because he's not going to be a number 1 there with CD. How he handles that, because I think that was a big thing with Pittsburgh. When we get DK Metcalf and he's like, okay, I'm supposed to be the guy here, and you bringing this guy in here. So
I definitely there's going to be some potential drama in the locker room, especially if things don't go right. The first few weeks it may just fall apart. But like I said, I want to give the new coach a chance. I hope, all we can do, I guess, is hope, but I don't know.
It looks like it's going to be a 3-team race in the East. Looks like between, of course, Super Bowl champions, the Eagles, Dallas, and Washington. I'm not sure if the Giants have got anything. I don't think they've improved that much. They did have a good draft, but I don't think they've improved that much to be a contender, because that's going to be a tough conference this year. Washington is on the rise with Jaden Daniels. Like I said, Philadelphia, they totally dominated Kansas City in that playoff game. I know they've lost a few off the defense, but still, they're really young on defense, and they get after the ball. So, but yeah, it should be interesting to see what goes on in the NFC East this year. I would say good luck to you guys, but I really wouldn't mean it. So, I'm not going to say it. But anyway, guys, talk a little bit about, like I said, talk a little bit about the song you got coming out again before we get out of here. What you guys got coming up here?
July 24th, brand new single, Damn Dallas, going to be on all the music platforms. And the one good thing is if the Cowboys do tank, I hope that everybody takes the song and makes their TikToks and does stuff like that. So that would, if Dallas wins, great. If Dallas loses, potentially great. I don't know. But that'll come out July the 24th. Go ahead and let the cat out of the bag a little bit. We did shoot a music video for this one.
Oh, really? That should be interesting there.
Yeah, it's outside the box, and I believe the music video is going to be out sometime in August.
Yep.
But we co-wrote the song together, and John had a big hand in the studio instrumentation and everything. So it's kind of cool just giving the reins to him and letting him do all the work for a change.
Oh yeah, we spent quite a bit of time over in Tyler, Texas, getting this thing ironed out, and had a lot of fun out there. And man, we're really excited for it, and hope everybody else is too once they get to hear it and stuff. So
did I see a post up here from you guys recently about that, like Damn Dallas or something like that up here recently on social media? Or am I imagining that?
You might have. We've been using the sound, a little bit of the clips here and there on social media and TikTok and stuff. So we've been trying to tease it a little bit.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, I just saw that not too long ago. I think I wanted it. Maybe it was TikTok, because I'm looking on your Facebook right now. I don't see it, but anyway, guys, if you want to follow these guys, check them out. You can check them out at the HutchesonBrothers.com. You can find them on all the social, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok. And they just put a post up tonight. If you haven't followed them on TikTok, you don't know what you're missing. They got, and guys, we're trying to do a lot of different things on TikTok now to get stuff back going with the podcast. But like I said, this is something I've set out from the beginning of the podcast too. I want to get different fans from different teams to do their top 10 lists. And guys, thank you so much for coming on and doing the Cowboys list. I give you a hard time about it, but and I do it. I really did enjoy making this list. And you guys surprised me because like I said, Emmett is the only one of those three on both of your guys' list. So Emmett's up there for one of you guys. But yeah, the picks, guys, who did it? Let us know who did the best up here. These guys are two Cowboys fans. I'm sure you probably favor their list more than you will mine. But I had a lot of underdog guys on my list. So maybe that'll sway the vote a little bit. But guys, that's the Hutcheson Brothers. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. And when that video comes, we will definitely be putting this song out there when we do a TikTok if it's out there. But I will be putting the Damn Dallas song out there before we put it on social media. But you guys, thank you. Like I said, thank you so much again. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come on. We'll have you on again. That's 2 times for these guys on here, guys. We got to give them to the 5-timers club. But you guys have a great night, and we'll see you next time on the Final Score.